there and deal with your thing, right? So, good morning, Miss Lewis. How you doing? Good morning.
Pleasant morning.
All right, we are into the earthquake awareness month. By the way, when it starts,
Earthquake Awareness and Preparedness Week is from the 12th to the 18th of January.
so why is it that you people just predict or say, you know what, we're going to do this earthquake thing this time of the year?
You find that we have had past earthquakes occurring in the month of January. Hence, we earmark January as Earthquake Awareness and Preparedness Month.
All right, we go straight into it. Tell us the measures that we should put in place to make sure that whenever there's an earthquake, we avoid the accidents that we do have as we get it on a small scale as possible, because some of the time it is because we are not prepared. Why, some people, things do happen, like we say, workplaces, schools, and you name it. What is it that we should put in place to avoid some of these accidents during the earthquake?
It is important that we prepare ourselves well so that we can respond effectively and efficiently. Of course, at the home, we have to ensure that we turn off utilities, example, water, gas, and electricity if there's an earthquake. We have to ensure that, for example, our whatnots, we don't put the heavy objects at the top, but at the bottom, and the smaller ones at the top.
All right, stick up in. You're saying that overall, when you have your house and you're putting on like a television, whatever there is, you don't put it to the extreme top.
No, it must go to the lower section of the whatnot, for example.
Okay.
Uh, of course, it is also important that we adhere to government policies. We must ensure that we have a building plan and we have professionals building our houses so that the structural integrity is not at fault.
So let me ask you then, who is in danger when you're saying this? Because people out there listening, and I was saying to some that I was talking to the soup the other day because I want to get him on this program. For people that you're building homes, probably somebody might just build up a one room, but the place that you're building this house is so dangerous. Tell us about this in regards to the earthquake.
Of course, we are vulnerable, Jamaica as a whole, and Sportland, so we have to be careful of the areas we build. We have to ensure that we get our building plans done up, and we also get approval from the parish council. It is also important that individuals have persons who are licensed so that their building is well constructed and can hold up against an earthquake as best as is possible.
All right. What is it that we should have in place to make sure for the family on a whole? Because some people might just run out, they don't know the danger. What should we? Let's start from a home. How should we approach an earthquake if there's one?
All right. It is very important that persons know how to respond if there is an earthquake. We have the earthquake drill procedure that is used to help persons to prepare for an effective response. I'll go through as quickly as I can. Now, if there's an earthquake, if persons are outside, it is important that persons remain outside, away from buildings, trees, light poles, and electric wires. If persons are inside, it is important that they seek cover because death and injury are usually caused from fallen objects. I want for individuals to note that you must have an alarm signal that represents the earthquake. So there must be a signal for you to respond to. You can use, for example, a whistle, a bell, a cow horn, even pot covers. You use that as your alarm. Now, say for example, you knock the pot covers together 3 times. When you knock it, there must be a response. So if you're outside, you must remain outside, away from trees, light poles, electric wires, and you do not stand near the building. If you're inside, remember, you stay inside if it is safe and seek cover. You can seek cover under your bed, under a table, and holding on to the legs. You can also go to a door frame and brace. You can also go to a corner and crouch with your hands over your head, not leaving your head exposed. So those are some measures you can put in place if there's an earthquake, whether you're outside or inside. No, if you're inside and you quickly see cover, you count from 1 to 60 because it is stated that after 60 seconds, 1 minute, there might be an aftershock as well as there might not be one. So when you quickly see cover, under a table, on their bed, you hold onto the legs, you count from 1 to 60. And you count like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's an example of how you count. Not too fast, not too slow, right up to 60. When you get to 60, if there is an aftershock, the shaking continues, you remain in your safe area. And note I said safe area, and you start counting again. If the shaking stops, you evacuate from the building in an orderly fashion. Orderly fashion meaning no laughing, no screaming, no running. You evacuate in an orderly fashion to your assembly point. Your assembly point can be in your yard, in an open area that is not near to the house, not under any light pole, electric wires. If your yard space is too small, from now, seek assistance from your neighbor. When you go to your assembly point, you must do a roll call. That is accounting for persons within your family. If you practice the earthquake drill with your neighbors, you can also practice the drill with your family members and neighbors, because you can help and make a difference for your community. Now, you must account for everyone in your family. Therefore, if persons are leaving home, they must always say something so that if there's an earthquake, persons within your family or your neighbor would have known where you are gone. After the drill is completed, there must be an evaluation to determine if the drill was done well, if it was flawless, if it needs improvement. It is very important that you practice. Practice makes perfect. The theme from ODPEM for 2014 is Earthquake Safety. Know your vulnerability to improve your capacity. So I repeat, for you to tell your friends, your neighbors, and your relatives, earthquake safety. Know your vulnerability to improve your capacity. Please note for me that whenever there is an earthquake, tsunamis might be triggered, to include landslide. There can also be fires. In the 1692 earthquake that affected Port Royal and the Great Kingston quake of 1907, many persons lost their lives. Many buildings were destroyed. Earthquakes are real, so we must prepare. Please note that in 1907, many of the persons who died from the earthquake died because of fire. Remember, it is important for you to be prepared. There can be a tsunami. If there's a tsunami, run as fast as you can to higher ground. Remember, it is important for you to know your emergency numbers. Please do not hesitate to contact the Portland Parish Council for further information. We can come to your home and also assist you in practicing your earthquake drill so that in the event there's a real earthquake, you will know how well to respond.
All right, one thing before we move on. We just want people in, better yet, across Jamaica. Where can people contact to get more information?
The telephone numbers for the Portland Parish Council are 993-2665 or 993-2765. So that's 993-2665 or 993-2765.
And people can contact any parish council across Jamaica to get information.
Any parish council across Jamaica to get information as it relates
And
to.
does ADPEM have a website that people can also go to and get information? Because this is one thing that is very important. If you can find it, or later on you find it and give it to us. But another thing is that let's look at the school. Let's look at the workplace. How are these persons? How you get to these persons? Because one of the thing about earthquake is that we might just have school in session. How should people move in a case of earthquake?
Each year, we visit schools, businesses, communities. We ensure that we do public education and also ensure that drills are carried out to sensitize persons and allow them to practice as it relates to response. So there's a presentation and there is an earthquake drill that is done.
Are you saying that the simulation exercises that you people do have, is it effective?
The simulation exercise that we have each year is very effective. It is to test the response capability of emergency responders and also to create awareness and preparedness within communities. The last one we had at the Fellowship Primary and Junior High School was very successful. It prepared the school and also community members for effective response. The next simulation exercise will be in the community of Mansionil, where we will ensure that we do public education, and through this simulation, persons will understand well what can occur if there is an earthquake, and also pointing out that persons can be injured, persons can die, and what the parish disaster committee as in place to respond in terms of emergency responders and what we will do or we will respond.
All right, let's look at a very serious one, the health part of it. After the earthquake, the whole health aspect of the of people on a whole, like for instance, your water, you name it.
It is important, the same way we have our water boiled, if water is available, it is important that persons boil their drinking water. In the earthquake of 1692 Port Royal, there were many persons who died because of yellow fever. So there can be outbreaks if there's an earthquake. So it's important that we boil our drinking water, and if we can access water at the supermarket, potable water, that is very important.
All right, thanks, Miss Lewis. Anything that you want to add finally that you think we might leave out?
I just want to repeat the theme so that persons can help us to spread the message. Earthquake safety, know your vulnerability to improve your capacity, and please ensure that you know all the emergency numbers and you practice your earthquake drills. Remember, you can contact the parish council in any parish so that you can get additional information or any assistance that might be needed.
Okay, thanks a lot. We're going to move over to the representative from the fire department. Yeah, good morning, good morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
For the sake of the listeners, just tell us your name.
All right. My name is Herbal Horn, and I'm a corporal, Jamaica Fire Brigade. I work with the Fire Prevention and Public Relations section.
All right, people out there need to know the role of the fire department in an earthquake, and how do we get in touch, and what time should we get in touch with the fire department, because it's not necessarily fire that you deal with.
Okay. As mentioned by Miss Lewis, Whenever there's an earthquake, there is a definite possibility of a fire, right? So from time to time, you may see the ODPEM personnel speaking about earthquakes, and along with that person, you'll see members from the fire department. The fire department is the department that responds to emergencies, right? Most persons might say yes, fire, but our main focus is emergencies, be it a car accident, flooding, fire, earthquake, whatever, rescue, that's what we do. So when there's an earthquake, at times, in most cases, the buildings are affected. Persons might be trapped, right? There might be accidents. The fire department will respond in rescuing these persons, assisting in any way that we can. The your fire department is very important to you, right? A lot of persons need to know the number for the fire department, and we have two in Portland, one in Buff Bay and one in Port Antonio. The Port Antonio number is 993-2525. All right, so that's 993-2525. And for Buff Bay, they can contact the fire department at 996-1501, which is 996-1501.
And they can contact any fire department in their parish, right?
Right. What we implore members of the wider society to do is to get an intimate knowledge of the number for your specific fire department. Because when you do that, it cuts down on the response time that when a call comes in. You know, once you call, so you call from Port Antonio and you call 993-2525, you get the fire department that responds to your specific area. And those firefighters are trained in what we call emergent your environment, right? Our station ground. This is the area that this particular station will respond to. So these firefighters know these grounds in and out.
All right. One other thing we want to look at. There's a situation. I don't know if you have any knowledge of this, but I think I want to ask: how long after an earthquake can people really return back to the building?
Oh, that's a very good question. Now, once there's an earthquake, it is not recommended that anybody returns to the building unless so authorized by a building officer, say from the fire department or the parish council, or somebody with the requisite knowledge of building construction, where they can tell you if that building is stable enough for you to return and occupy.
Okay. Does the fire department go out and you sensitize people toward the service that you operate in the instance of the earthquake, like with earthquake awareness?
Yes, we do. We do. As I said, along with the ODPEM person, Miss Lewis here, a member of the fire department travels across the parish with her during this time, and we impart the information to the different communities, different schools, clubs, churches, any organization that needs information, that we will give it to them. All right, and this is an ongoing thing throughout the year.
One of the things we want to look at, though, you know that the fire department or the parish council cannot run to everybody in case of this whole levels of emergency. So we have people that live in the deep rural area. Now, I guess you have been to these areas. Let's look at an area like Bangor Ridge, where it's miles away from a fire station in case of a fire, and we have Cascade. We have so much areas, and that is so far. Now, have you been to areas such like this?
Yes, I have. The fire prevention and public relations section is the section of the brigade that is responsible for sensitizing the communities. So our job is to go into these communities that are what you'd call rural or remote. The communities that the fire station, the fire unit will not be easily respond to or as quickly as we would like. So it is very important that we sensitize these people in those areas that the importance right, of good fire safety practices, right? In case of an earthquake or a fire, we go in and we talk to them from time to time. We bring brochures, run simulations, as Miss Lewis had indicated, run drills, so these persons have an idea how best to protect or to help themselves until the required assistance gets there.
One of the crazy thing, a house drop, a lady pin, and some other accident happen, and you have people not of the knowledge how to take up this person, and they might take the person from out to the house. The person is broken up and all of that. What would you say to these person? Because I am of the opinion that this is dangerous if you don't know how to take up a person.
Yeah, you are right. It is very important that once someone is injured, you have an understanding of how to treat an injured person. Now, this brings us to a point that the fire department, we do training from time to time. We go in and we train persons, especially in those communities that we just mentioned earlier. And we give them training such as how to remove a casualty, right? How to carry a casualty, how to bandage, or to prepare them for transportation to the required safe medical facility. So we see and understand some of the problems that arises, and we try as best as possible to get the information to them.
Some people just quick to help and they don't know the danger.
True. We are a nation like that, right? Once we see something, we want to just get in. But what we try to tell people, that if you do not understand the situation, it is best if you call and get help.
All right. Anything you want to add finally?
All right. It is very important. What we like to tell our listeners out there is that each home should have a escape plan or an emergency or evacuation plan. Each building should have one. With the fire department as the mandate to go into any public building and inspect it as it relates to safety and make recommendations. As it relates to your private dwellings now, we do not have that mandate to do that. So we would have to get a request from the individual to go in and do that for them. So we use the mediums to inform them that a fire drill is something that you should do within your home, right? And it is something that will prepare you that at any point that there's a fire or any emergency, there's a set routine that each member of your household or each member of that premises is aware of. So we are imploring the communities to prepare their fire drills, prepare their emergency evacuation plans, and practice them and then implement them.
Okay, Mr. Aaron, thanks very much for passing through, representing the Jamaica Fire Brigade, and Miss Lewis representing ADPEM, also from the Portland Parish Council. And we hope that people out there, you take heed and you listen and you do understand. And for further information in regarding this, you can check any fire department in your area or any one of the parish council in your parish also. And thanks a lot for coming. And I want to ask you a question, and I'm going to ask Ms. Lewis, what makes you positive? Because that's the name of this feature.
Well, what makes me positive is the sheer fact that I am able to get up each morning and know that my job might be the job that saves someone's life.
All right, cool. Ms. Lewis, what makes you positive?
What makes me positive is that the Trinity enables me to think of not only myself but others in wanting to have a well-prepared Portland to respond effectively and efficiently to any hazard impact.
Thank you very much. The name of this feature is known as Positive. I hope you learn a lot, right?